Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is November 5th, 2024, and today is Super Tuesday, which means today is Election Day. So looking at the highlights of the day, markets take a pause in anticipation to the U.S. elections today. Now looking at the major economic events of the day, so we do have all day today from the United States. I'm going to say it again, presidential elections and congressional elections as well. Don't downsize that. And also today at 5 p.m. South Africa time from the United States, we have an ISM services P number coming out. Now the markets are pausing. However, starting out with the Forex symbols, the Canadian dollar continues to retrace versus the US dollar. And as we look at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ just slightly lower. And looking at commodities, oil pushes to resistance-ish level, while we're watching in terms of stocks, Google filling in that gap up and filling in. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin remaining unchanged. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go with the Canadian dollar. Now it's not a big retracement, it's about 15 to 20 pips, but it's a retracement nonetheless. And it's dipping below our supportish level, okay? It doesn't mean that we're going to end up here. We may still bounce and we may still honor the supportish level, but we're right there, okay? So this is really important to note that we're still there and we haven't breached it. So we may still bounce off of it. Now, a couple of things. I do anticipate some sort of pause in the market, some sort of, especially in the Forex market, as it's going to digest what's going to happen in the U.S. today. So keep that in mind. Now, jumping into commodities, oil did push higher earlier this week, had a gap up and pushed to $71 a barrel. Now, it has slowly stopped at this sort of resistance-ish level. So keep this in mind. Now, if it does break above $72, that's when I would get very interested in it. But up until that point, I think we're just going to be trading in this area. Now looking at gold, also retracing and unchanged in anticipation to today's elections. And looking at the U.S. Dow Jones. Dow Jones did retrace, and for all intents and purposes, it's still a downwards momentum, okay? Although it is settling down and looking like it's making a double bottom here, but it has retraced significantly. And I'm looking at the NASDAQ, retracing and then unchanged on a daily chart. So it's really unchanged day to day. However, looking at the individual stocks, this is where it gets super, super interesting, because if we look at JP Morgan, it finally retraced from that resistance level of 225. Now, it can continue to sell off maybe to the 215, 216-ish area. So keep that in mind. And looking at Google, which we had this huge gap up, right, from 171 to 183. And we're filling it up and we're not bouncing off of it. So this is disconcerting. Now, looking at today's activity, all right, so it's election day. So what happens generally election day? One or two things. Either we get an election day rally or we get a lot of choppiness in the market. And both are a possibility for today. So keep that in mind, all right? I don't anticipate that there'll be this massive sell-off maybe after the event, okay, depending who the candidate that wins. Believe it or not, I believe that if President Trump actually wins, we may have an initial sell-off and then a buyout, just like we did about 8 years ago. Okay, if Kamala Harris, we may see some choppiness in the market like we did 4 years ago. So there's a lot of data for us to really compare. But each situation is really on of itself. So just know your levels and know your support level and your resistance level, because that's really what the important part is. Now, if we look at the VIX, it's holding strong at 1978, which was pretty much yesterday, okay, and hasn't changed much, all right? So this is really important, because the VIX is your telltale sign if it's going to be a sell-off, and see how bad that sell-off is. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is just holding on to its all-time record highs. I mean, just shy of it, $4,000 off of its all-time record highs. So that's less than 1%. So, you know, all intents of purposes, it's on its highs, okay? It's really on its highs, and it's waiting for that data to come out. It should be very entertaining and very interesting to say how today unfolds. And it's really super exciting, because this is when the markets move the most. So take advantage of it. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.